Hey guys, it's TF Now. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another action figure review. This is going to be of the Star Wars The Black Series, Star Wars The Mandalorian Axe Woves figure, which pretty sure the pre-order for this dropped earlier this month, and then Entertainment Earth out of nowhere got some in stock like a week, maybe a little over a week ago. So I went ahead and picked one up from there. It seems like these announcement and release windows are kind of sporadic with some of these figures, because some of these figures, they've been taking a while to come out ever since they've been announced, whereas this guy here, like, less than a month announcement and then gets released. It's kind of weird, but hey, glad that I was able to get this figure early at least. Let's just go ahead, just take a look at the packaging here. I'm just gonna do it with my hand. Figure in the box, of course, you do have the accessories. You also have Star Wars The Mandalorian with this slightly brownish orange color going through here, Axe Woves, the warning, as well as the ages 4 and up, and the Hasbro logo. Pretty standard with what we get with Black Series, and that logo, of course, right there. Same thing, logo right here, image of the character right here, where it's black and white. It goes into this gradient of the color right there. Then Axe Woves. On the back here, this is really nice art actually of this character. Pretty much the same that I was just shown off earlier on the side. You have Star Wars The Black Series. You do have the back right there. Let's see if I can zoom in. You can get a multilingual read up, I should say. And we do have, number 25 out of these Mandalorian figures. Multilingual warnings and all that, the Disney and Hasbro logos. I do have the barcode here in case you need it, so you can screenshot that. Let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. Here is the figure out of the packaging. It's a pretty nice figure overall. The body mold here is reused pretty well. I do have a couple of minor issues with this figure though. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. So we have this alternate helmet here. It does pop onto the head, and in the packaging it was really warped like this, and it still is a little bit, even though I ran some hot water on this. So yeah, just be mindful of that. This piece flips down like that, flips up. It's in this piece right here, at least is in this nice dark gray gunmetal color with some blue there. We have some silver marks here to look like scratches around the viewfinder. They're not the cleanest, but they still look fine. This very dark gray around the black T-visor. The blue on here is pretty decent too. I think that this paint, it's fine. It's clean. I think it could look a little bit better. I don't remember if it's supposed to be metallic or not. So if it's supposed to be more, how it looks here, that's fine. But I don't see any marks or anything that shouldn't be there, so that's fine. The way that this is painted right there on the back, that looks nice too. And then these are supposed to look marked up, so they did a really good job with this light gray circle that's painted on here. And then you pop this on here. I feel like the head is a little too high. And also, this is just super loose. Look at that. You could see that the head is not moving, and this is just super loose on here. It also looks a little too big. Yeah, not the biggest fan of that. So they just lately, I feel like they can't get helmets right. This looks fine, but I do remember a time with the stormtroopers where it just they were glued in there and part of the actual molding, and they just look super warped. But this, it just looks too big. So man, I don't know. It's not the end of the world, though. We do have this backpack piece. This is very much the exact same one that we got with the Death Watch Mandalorian, this jetpack here. We have some nice silver up on the front, as well as right here. All the silver looks really good. The really nice metallic shiny silver is really good. I think there's very slight paint apps here on these thrusters. I think it's mostly molded like this, but they still look awesome too, and they pivot a little bit forward and back, but they're really tight here. The rest of this is in this light blue mold, and there's just not much else to it. It's very similar to a lot of these characters that have jetpacks. You have these notches and the hole in the back. Now, because this is, it moves around a bit, I think it keeps it from staying in sometimes. It's not off. It doesn't want to shake, it won't fall off like that. But sometimes if it's not in properly, if you just slightly place it in there and you move it like that, then yeah, it will, fly out like that. But it fits on there nicely. Last thing I want to mention is the blaster pistol, which is really nice. It's nice dark gray, gunmetal, metallic, paint going on in there. We have this nice lighter silver. All that looks really good. It has a bit of this glittery effect, you know, with a little bit of shimmering. There looks like there is a paint spot. I guess that's supposed to be like that, where there's silver on the bottom. I'm not sure. I feel like that is just a weird placement. But it's the exact same blaster pistol as Bo-Katan's, except, you know, we don't have this flat gray plastic with a, you know, a brown handle there. The paint on here is significantly better, I think. We also have weapon storage on this. Flip that piece up, and then if I can do it, you would just insert the blaster pistol, and then you'll push that in like so, if I can do it still. Yeah, and it fits in there nicely. So here's an image of the figure next to the actor Simon Cassianides. I really hope I said his name right. Who plays Axe Woves. I do think that this is a pretty good likeness. Sometimes they're pretty 50-50 when it comes to the likeness to the actors in the Black Series line, but this one I do think is pretty good. Now, instead of, you know, just going over, you know, side by side all the way with this figure, the biggest differences that you can see are, of course, the colors and this belt piece on the stomach of Axe right here that goes underneath the chest. It's a whole new piece compared to what is done with this one here. Everything else is the exact same. So I think the reuse is fine here. I do think the one thing, when I was looking at images, I think his boots are inaccurate here because there's like this draped piece, whatever, this like leather piece that's actually covering the boots, I believe, for Axe Woves. Now with this, it's just the exact same boots that we get with the Death Watch Mandalorian. It's not the end of the world for me, but for some people who want it to be 100% accurate, that is one thing to keep in mind. Again, I'm not going to be that mad about it. Looking at the details of this head sculpt, I do think they are pretty nice. We do have mostly just some painted, you know, areas, not really any sculpting, like mostly on the face. If you look here, if I can focus up, with the face, it just has a couple markings that are painted on there. There's not really actually sculpting, but they are visible enough. The biggest thing I have a problem with the face is that with all these Black Series figures, they're super duper glossy, man. In person, it doesn't look too bad, but because of the lighting, it's really bringing out how glossy that is. So, you know, hit it with a matte coat of, you know, of a certain spray. I forget exactly what some people use, but a matte coat should help with making this, you know, look a little bit better and not super glossy. I might have to turn the brightness down. I do think that the paint for the facial hair is decent. I think a few extra areas of sculpt. I think they sculpted a tiny bit on the cheeks and the chin to help it make look, you know, the, if I could speak, the facial hair look realistic. If it was just a little bit more prominent, I think it would look better, but it's not too bad here. But yeah, the eyes, the printing on there is nice, and so same thing on the, you know, the lip color, I should say, and the eyebrows. That's nice. And then we do have just mostly this very dark brown mold for the hair, which has some decent sculpting. Pretty much a lot of tans, very dark tans, dark grays, and light grays throughout this whole thing, and some brown, of course, and blue. So those are, you know, the main colors on this. We do have the neck piece here, I believe, is the same. I have to think. I think it's, yeah, I was turned around all the way. That was weird. I do believe it is the exact same also on the Death Watch Mandalorian. So the wrinkles on here are pretty nice already. Silver scratches on the chest plate with a silver piece right there. Mostly dark gray here, dark gray there as well. A little bit of some silver. You know, it's just one color. Not much paint going on. Soft plastic pieces though, so they don't hinder articulation much. That's what the back looks like with this chest piece though. It has a little bit of some details in there to make it look kind of like a certain fabric or leather. Some wrinkles in the gray undersuit, which actually they have some sculpted wrinkles on the joints there. These gauntlets are also the exact same, just slightly different colors compared to the Death Watch Mandalorian, as well as the hands are the exact same too. It's just black this time around, and there's some black right there. It's mostly in the molded in blue here, of course. Same thing here, it's just mostly black. With this, you know, piece that goes under the chest, if you see there, it's just mostly molded in brown. I think maybe a little bit of a wash would help bring some of these details out. But the wrinkles around the crotch area for the brown piece does look actually really nice. I don't know if I mentioned these lines and wrinkles going on here. Nice pouches. We have some really good silver paint on the buckle here. I think there might be a tiny weird imperfection on the plastic here. Can't tell. Back flap, whatever this is, looks fine, which is a very dark gray, almost black. And then the actual leather details here actually look pretty decent too, as well as also on the blaster holster. You have these soft plastic thigh pads, looking rather nice. Very minor silver scratches that are painted on there. The rest of it is just lots of molded plastic. You know, you do have this texture that is in the sculpt. I do think a little bit of like a dry brushing or a wash would help bring out some of these details though, so you can see it a little bit better. But, you know, that's a bit of a nitpick on my point. We have this, I believe this is molded in gray and then painted in blue knee pad. And it's not a very big knee pad. You know, not like the, and they're not glued on here either. Not like Stormtroopers or anything like that. No, not the Stormtroopers, the Clone Troopers have those really bad knee pads sometimes. The boots, you know, again, I don't think they're super accurate, but they still look nice here, and they have a little bit of a gloss in here in the sculpt to look like, you know, actual leather. The bum, the feet, not much going on. The serial printing's in a different color this time. That's strange. Yeah, everything about this, again, is the exact same sculpt, just very minor, you know, alterations in the waist and stomach mostly. It's the exact same sculpt that you would expect with the Death Watch Mandalorian, but it still looks really good with these new colors. Articulation is pretty basic. It's very common with other Black Series figures. We have two different ball joints, here at the head and here at the neck, so we can go up, down, side to side. All of that, you know, extra range of motion works here together, so you get all this range like that. And swiveling is not bad either, and you can swivel at the actual neck if you grab it there too. These shoulder pads are separate pieces in here, and they can slightly move around, but you're mostly going to get them to move around. Well, you grab it, move it around, and then you can actually grab it if you want to hold it in place, and then move that around too. Arms go outward like that. We do have butterfly joints that are pretty tight on my figure, but they do go all the way around like I showed off. We have a single joint elbow that bends a little over 90, swivels here too. We do have swivels at the gauntlets, up and down hinge, as well as a swivel here. I believe that is for, yeah, no, this is actually in and out, I forgot. So that goes in and out. Ball joint waist, all the way around, side to side like this, forward and back. You can see the tilt there too. It's pretty loose. Some areas have tight joints and some have loose joints. It's a little weird on this figure. Leg goes forward like that. Back, not really at all. Splits are pretty decent. Upper thigh swivel. We do have a single joint knee. It gets a little over 90 and it has a swivel at the knee, which is not really necessary. But it's fine though. This piece also is a separate piece, this knee pad. We have a bend downward at the foot, bends up. It's really hard for some reason on mine, but we do have ankle rockers. For size comparisons, you can see he's going to be a little bit taller than Bo-Katan and Casca Reeves. He's going to be a little bit shorter than the Death Watch Mandalorian, probably because of the helmet. I think if we pop the helmet on this guy, it's going to be about the same height. I think he's going to be about the same height, maybe also a little bit shorter than Mando over on the far right. Overall, this is a rather nice figure, but my biggest complaint, which is kind of common with the Black Series line, is that a lot of these figures just need more paint. This has paint in some areas, but like in other parts like the arms and, you know, the undersuit of the legs and all that, it's just a flat gray plastic. And if they're going to keep charging $25 and up for a lot of these figures, they really need to step up the paint with these figures. I do think that the glossy finish on the face is not great either, but that likeness is rather nice. The overall body is really good too. I like the Death Watch Mandalorian figure, so, you know, it being reused here with some slight alterations is also really nice. Articulation is fine. It's a little bit tight, you know, in some areas on my figure, and a little bit loose in some areas as well, so it's a little weird there. But like the colors are really good on this as well, especially the dark gray. And they do have some minor paint applications to give some details, much like those silver scratches, but they're not super clean. The accessories are fine though. That helmet is not great. It's super loose, and even after me heating it up, it still looks rather warped. But the blaster pistol is nice, and the jetpack works fine. This is a rather nice figure, $25, maybe a little bit higher, depending on where you're going to get it, of course, with tax and shipping. I got mine from Entertainment Earth. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends, follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.